John, we're going to go ahead and begin with a story that I sent over to you. It's coming out of the Wall Street Journal, and I'm going to read you the headline. I'll read you the first couple of graphs, and then after that, I want you to comment, John. So here we go. Wall Street Journal headline: the apartment market is hitting a construction lull. Subhead: higher interest rates, falling rents contribute to a decline in building starts. Now, first couple of graphs, Sean, and then I want you to comment. Many of the cranes crowding skylines from Phoenix to Denver and Dallas will soon be down. They're likely to stay down for a long time. The number of new apartments starting development has fallen dramatically this year, a consequence of higher interest rates, declining rents, and what in some places looks like overbuilding. Apartment building starts fell to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 334,000 units in August, marking a 41% decline from the pace seen the same month a year ago. According to the Census Bureau, an annual decline of this magnitude has happened only one other time since the subprime housing crisis, real estate data from Bright MLS said. And then here is a quote from a gentleman from an organization called the Institutional Property Advisors, which is a real estate advisory firm. Guy's name is Greg Willett. Here's his quote: "We expect to see about 2 years of greatly reduced building." John, anyone who's listening to this podcast has heard you say that South Florida Business Journal and other publications have talked about 55,000 rentals in the pipeline in South Florida. So you've been waving the white flag, or you've been waving the warning signs, if you will, for quite some time. Now we got the Wall Street Journal saying we're looking at a slowdown in apartment construction and possibly some sort of change in rental rates. How does it feel to be right? And tell us where we go from here.
Well, I don't think South Florida developers got the memo, because not a week goes by without a new apartment construction project getting underway, it seems. So I don't know if we're just in a sort of a bubble, but this is the story of Florida. We don't do things halfway. We go all out. It's boom or bust. Unfortunately, there's going to be a tsunami of new apartments in South Florida, and I think we're definitely in an overbuilding mode. How many of those are going to get converted to condos? I don't know. It's going to be a good question. There's going to be, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, John, so for anybody in the audience who's wondering how you create a condo, what's the difference between a condo and a rental? Real simple. It's a piece of paperwork. Basically, you file something called a declaration of condominium. You send it off to the, I think it's the Bureau of Condominium. Basically, the state of Florida, you send it to them. They go ahead and give you approval. It's about 6 months later, ballpark 150, 200 grand and legal work. 6 months later, you get you get the notification. The notification is sent to the property appraiser in whatever county the property is located. And then folio numbers. The tax ID is issued for every individual unit within that apartment building. So it's just paperwork. There's nothing more like that. The same way you can create a condo, you can terminate a condo. So what you're alluding to, we got all these rentals, and if the rental market gets soft, but we don't have enough supply of those properties that are for sale. Again, same building, same unit. The only difference is the paperwork and ultimately a folio number where tax collected off of. John, what would you anticipate? Do you think that all this rental buildup at cheap cost originally could then be converted into condos, and all of a sudden we deal with supposedly a surplus of rentals, at least in South Florida?
Well, if the numbers don't work out for developers, they're gonna shift gears. That's happened before. We've seen it, throughout Florida history, recent history, last 20, 30 years. And it's just a repeat of the typical cycle of overbuilding that we have in Florida. It seems to be, just part of the real estate landscape. And it's what we go through every 10, 15 years. And, there's been, a lot of easy money for developers to build these apartments, and the numbers, especially in the last few years with COVID, the population forecast, population boom has been, stratospheric. And so apartment developers have come here and they're all building all at once. And so what typically happens is if you have like economic slowdown, you're going to have a glut of apartments. And that's certainly a scenario that could easily play out here.
And John, just one quick follow-up question to that. We're recording this podcast on a Tuesday. It'll be coming out on Friday. And today the stock market was down. I think that, what was it? The Dow was down 500 points. And we saw the 10-year treasury move from last week, it was about 4.55. Now it's somewhere in the ballpark of 4.75 or so. Add 3 points for a mortgage rate. Jean, how much is rising interest rates, do you think, going to also contribute to a slowdown, possibly in some of the new construction that many people have gotten accustomed to over the last few years?
Yeah, and I mean certainly in commercial construction, and then we're gonna see those rates affect projects and how they pencil out, because they just won't. And so and I'm sure we'll talk about that in some of the stories that we've got in the lineup today.